Hello, my name is Tom Stiles, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show number 245. And what you're looking at is my new Tecsun PL-880 radio. I'm really excited about getting a revised one. The first one I had, of course, was revision 8819 and had several problems with things such as single sideband. This is the revised one. It is the 8820 version, and it came with the little external antenna, which is just a length of wire, earbuds, and let me get the case. The first one I had came with a case similar to this one, which is just kind of plastic. This is a Grundig G3. The second one came with, and I had seen reports that some people, even on the first one, were getting this, but I didn't get it. It came with this real nice kind of leather-like case. Tecsun on it, it's a zippered case, got a little pocket right there. Nice case. I really like this case. I was kind of disappointed when I got my first one and I didn't get this case. Now, the other thing is, the first one came with a charger. Now, this radio is charged using a micro or mini USB port, similar to the bigger USB port on your computer. And what they did is they had in a separate box, they had a USB charger that you use to charge the radio. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people, and I got that, and a lot of people complained because it was not an AC adapter. It was strictly an AC charger for the USB port. So if you tried to use the radio on that AC charger, you got a lot of noise and it was just not usable. So I think what they've done, Tecsun has done recently, is they just don't give you a charge at all. And they do give you a charging cable, which allows you to hook the radio to your computer, for instance, or if you have one of those USB chargers, you can hook it to that. But they do not give you an AC adapter. Nor does it have, let me just double check here, nor does it have a DC input. Now, one of the reasons it doesn't have DC input is because it uses one of those 1865 lithium ion cells. And I think will stand by a second. Didn't get organized here. What did I do with my extra one? I have two of those. Oh, well, I don't know what I did with my other one. I didn't want to pull this one out right now, but I have another one, but it's kind of looks like a AA battery, but it's fatter and longer, and it puts out, I think, like 4.7 volts instead of 1.5 like you'd have in a single AA cell. Okay, here we go. I got one. The high-powered flashlights now use these also, and here's what one looks like. So compared to a AA battery, it's pretty big. So you can't use AA batteries. That's a little bit of a drawback, but that's the price you pay to get a battery that will stay charged for a long time. Give you a lot of power. So anyway, I digress. And you'll have to excuse me for a couple of things today. One, I got a cold, so my voice is still kind of deep. And number two, I've got so much information that I probably will start to ramble or get lost. So excuse me for that. But what I'm going to do to try to keep me on track is I'm going to use my, can't see, get it back here far enough, my shortwave radio report card that I've used in the past. And these are the kind of things I'm going to address or attempt to address. Look and feel, readability of the display, power options, tuning capability, audio quality, special features. This one has done tons of special features. Matter of fact, I may have to do a whole show about special features. And then I'll do a separate show on reception capability of the radio. So that's the outline I'm going to try to use and hopefully stay on track that way. Okay, let's talk about look and feel. As you can see, this is a little larger than the predecessor, which is the 660. It's a little bit larger than that. Also, it's kind of squared off, doesn't have the contoured lines like the 660, which I prefer. I don't like these radios that are rounded off and tend to slip around in my hand. I like the square design. So anyway, the tuning knobs are here and here, main tuning and fine tuning, and then the volume's down here. So you don't have, for instance, the 660, the tuning has only one tuning knob, which you switch between fast and slow tune. So I like that about the look and feel. It's fairly heavy for a radio this size. Pretty, and it makes you feel like it's well made. The battery compartment is easy to get into and change out that big battery. As I say, it only uses that one single, oh, I'm sorry, it's a 3.7 volt. I said 4.7 before. Correct myself there. So that's kind of gives you an idea of the look, the feel. The readability of the display is very good. It's a fairly large display with big numbers. It has a nice backlight and has a backlight feature that may be good or bad. The feature is it has a backlight switch over here, which of course you can't see very well in this bright light, but it turns on the backlight permanently until you turn it off, of course. And that's nice, because I don't like where on a 660 the backlight has a mode which it only comes on when you touch a button or a knob or something like that. It also has a mode that you can keep it on. The disadvantage of this one is it never goes off. So even though this radio is turned off, the backlight is on, drawing power. So I don't know, that's kind of mixed. So I'm going to turn it off right now because you can't see it anyway. It's just conserve battery power. Okay, so that's kind of the readability of the display. The buttons are, the writing above and below the buttons are very easy to read, so that's good. I had some problems on the 660 with reading some of the buttons. Also, as far as look and feel, some of the buttons on the 660 were these little tiny round buttons, and I had to use the very point of my finger to engage the button. That kind of distracted me. So this one, you don't have that problem. You can use your fat fingers and touch all the buttons. The power options, as I mentioned before, you have that 3.7 volt battery, and you can charge the battery, but it doesn't have an AC adapter. Now, like I say, if you can find a good USB adapter, then you can use it on that USB adapter. But the one they used to provide with it wasn't any good for doing that. It was strictly a USB charger. So that's the power options. Tuning on this radio is very good. You have, like I said, you have these two knobs, the main tuning and the fine tuning. And they are knurled knobs, and they are very smooth, very smooth. So it's real easy to tune this radio. So as far as tunability, it definitely gets an A. Audio quality of this radio is excellent. It's almost good, almost, not as good, but almost as good as my Grundig 750, which has this big speaker. This speaker, I believe, is a Mylar speaker, which is newer technology and gives you a deep sound so that it's not hollow and ringy and tinny. It's a deep sound. So the sound of this radio is excellent, and it's much better than the 660, which I'm using for kind of as a comparison. So that's the audio quality. The special features, like I say, there are a ton of special features, and I'll kind of go into some of them. May not hit on all of them, but let's go after special features. For number one, it's AM, FM, long wave, and shortwave. And the shortwave is 1.7 megahertz to basically 30 megahertz, actually 29.999. So it has the full shortwave spectrum. So you're not missing out on anything there. And since it has single sideband capability, then you can listen to, for instance, amateur radio. So that's cool. Now, one of the other things about the tuning is that when you select single sideband, as I just mentioned, when you select single sideband, it goes into even a finer tuning mode. And I'll try to show you that in the future here. And it makes it really easy to tune single sideband. So you don't have a separate BFO for tuning single sideband. You just use the fine tuning knob. So that's how it works. Now, the other thing it has, unlike the 660 and most shortwave radios in this price range, which is $100 to $200 price range, most of the other radios only have two bandwidths. So they got a wide band and a narrow band, and that's it. This one has actually 8 bandwidths. And that allows you that when you're trying to tune in, say an amateur radio station that's broadcasting, and you're in a band and there's a whole bunch of guys broadcasting at the same time, and you want to get that one guy. So you're in the single sideband mode. You can select 4 filters in single sideband, and they include, I got it written down here, 4 kilohertz, 3 kilohertz, 2.3 kilohertz, 1.2 kilohertz, and 0.5 kilohertz. Now the 1.2 and the 0.5 you'd probably use for listening to code, CW. And then the other ones, the other higher ones, you can use to try to tune out adjacent channels that are interfering with the one you're trying to listen to. Now, when you're in either the regular medium wave AM band or shortwave band, there are, and not single sideband, there are 4 additional filters, and they are 9.0, 5.0, 3.5, and 2.3. I don't know why they have those separate, but they are separate. So you get one set for AM mode and one set for single sideband. So you get 8 filters. So that's really an enhancement. Now, the one thing is that if you're trying to use the synchronous detection mode to try to bring in a signal that's fading in and out, you don't have access to those filters. Kind of makes sense because the radio is trying to do something and you're trying to filter it, so they don't give you that possibility of changing the filter. And so it's set to some specific values. I think it's 4 kilohertz. Okay, the kind of look at the keypad here and go through some of the keys just briefly. We have these keys up here, which let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if it'll stay in focus or not. Okay, maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. I may be too close. Yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get. So you have 2 keys here for setting the time, which I've done. This is the time of day it is right now on Monday in Florida. And you have a key to set some alarms to wake you up with either an alarm or music from the radio. You have a display button so you can change what information is displayed on the display here. Displayed on the display. Just shown on the display. And it also is secondary use is to lock the keyboard so you don't accidentally change the frequency or volume or anything like that. Well, the frequency. And then it has a button for selecting FM stereo or the AM bandwidth. This is how you select the bandwidth with this button here if you're in AM mode or shortwave mode. Over here is the button for selecting whether you want to tune the radio using frequencies, so you're basically dialing up a frequency, or you want to tune it through the channels that you've saved in the memories. Now this thing has over 3,000 memories. That's 3,000 stations, AM, FM, and they're broken up, and I think shortwave gets 250 and whatever. So anyway, altogether you got 3,000 memories. I've been lucky if I've ever used more than 50. But anyway, okay, moving on. And then the same button is used so you can scan either through a range of frequencies or you can scan through the stored memory frequency. Okay. Now moving down here we have the numeric keypad, and we have a couple of sub-functions of some of the keys. The one key is also used for FM set. I don't remember what that is. Get to it later. The 2 key is used for long wave on and off. So this is how you get into the long wave mode, long wave band. The 3 key is used to select either 9 or 10 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz tuning, depending on whether you're in the United States or in a foreign country. Now, the other thing which I'll go over later is there are several of these keys that have undocumented features. And one of the original post pictures of this radio, which came from China, the picture came from China, had those additional function keys marked. So they were marked on there. But when the units got shipped to the US, they took those markings off because my guess is because those functions were not fully developed, a la the problems I had with my version 8819. So that's why they have not documented those features yet, because they're not fully developed is my guess. So anyway, moving right along. So over here we have the button for selecting AM and FM, and also if you push and hold it'll do the automatic storing function for those 2 bands. Down here we have the selection for shortwave meter bands, and also again for the shortwave ATS functions, which there are two sub-functions of ATS, similar to the 660. Down here we have two buttons for selecting either upper sideband or lower sideband, or back to normal, or this is how you turn on the synchronous detection in either a upper sideband mode or lower sideband. The last two sets of keys are the plus and minus keys for scanning through your memory pages. The memory is broken down into pages. Okay, over here we have the M button, which is for interfacing to the memories in this radio, for storing in memories, recall them, edit them, whatever. Down here is a very unique key under the zero key, is a sub key for sorting the stored memories so that you can sort them, for instance, in numerical order. So if you've been going through and manually putting frequencies in and store them in there, they might be out of order. You know, they're not, 2 megahertz, 3 megahertz, and so on up. So if you push this button, push and hold this button, it'll go through and sort those so that they are numerically in order. Now, of course, when you're using the ATS function, it scans numerically in order, from the lowest frequency to the highest frequency. So that wouldn't have to be sorted. So that's basically the function. Go over here. Let me zoom back out because I'm not getting it all in the page there, in the screen. The top button, as I mentioned before, is the light on and off. If you have it in the off mode, then the light comes on when you press a key or press a knob. In the on mode, it's on all the time and never goes off. Okay, I can see I'm almost up to 25 minutes, so I'm going to have to break this up into another video. So let me go through again just the features and stuff quickly, and maybe we'll make my 25-minute limit that I put on myself. This is a tone control for bass and treble. That's all you get. Over here, a bunch of jacks and stuff. This is for your external shortwave antenna. This is your antenna gain switch, and you have local, normal, and DX. This is your headphone jacks. This is your line out, so it gives you a line out function so you can hook it to your computer or to recorder. And of course, this is the micro USB port for charging the radio. Here's a little kickstand back there, battery compartment there, the telescopic antenna, the snooze button right there, and I think that pretty well covers it. It does come with this little handle, and I think that's about it. So as you can see, there's just a ton of information that I could give you on this radio, and I'm going to cut this video short so I can keep it under 25 minutes. That's really much longer than I wanted to be. Sorry for rambling. So that's the show for today. I'll start another video about some of the specific features and how they work. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.